By request, let's review Sundays.
My name is Stephanie. I'm a canine nutritionist above some other things. If you have something you want me to look at, drop it in the comments below. I'm sorry it's going to take me a moment to get there because my list is very long, so make sure you subscribe or like or follow. Whatever is a thing to do on the platform that you're watching on. So this has been sitting on my list for a while, and now I'm kind of sad with how long it's been sitting there because I liked this. Just a few things from their website. First, human grade ingredients, love that. The majority of kibble that you might be feeding your dogs is going to be coming from rendering plants. The food comes from rendering plants. That means that it's all the gross things and questionable things that were left over after the humans took it for the human market is what gets put in kibble. And y'all, that shit can be gross. Another thing that set this apart from kibble is the fact that they use air drying, which means that we're gonna have more nutrients because we didn't cook the shit out of it. And I know that some of you guys are maybe afraid of or intimidated by raw, so this kind of helps to make sure that we killed some of that bacteria. In my opinion, we also probably killed off some good bacteria, but this is kind of a nice way to have your cake and eat it too. If you're interested in feeding a lesser processed diet, this might be for you. Another thing that I really like that sets them apart from kibble is no synthetic additives. Because kibble has been cooked to shit, we have to toss in a lot of synthetic vitamins and minerals, and that can lead to a whole list of problems which we're not going to cover in here. I also really like that they tell us the percentage of the meat that's going to be in their formulas, but I feel like when I've seen this before on different websites, it was kind of a generality and not a specific for the specific recipe that you're looking at. Another something that some of you guys might find very valuable is that they are founded by a veterinarian. To me, that's cool, but I know a lot of great companies that are not founded by veterinarians, so this might be fun for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into their ingredients. As you can tell, we have a lot of green here, which I love. We have an organ, I love that. We do have a couple of grains, but it's only 2, and I think that's pretty freaking awesome. I'm still gonna put them in as yellow. I'm also gonna put the fish oil in as yellow because this does have a probability to, or propensity to go rancid. But another thing that I really like is the fact that they only sell their batches of food in like what you should be going through in a month. Some content that I'll put out a little bit later is one thing that you can do to help make sure that your dog doesn't get salmonella from their dry dog food is to make sure that you are feeding that food within a month, because the longer that that food is open and exposed to air, the more that those oils are touching the air, the more they oxidize, the more they go rancid, the more we have bacteria, and so on and so forth. So fish oil here, because they're selling their stuff to be consumed within a month, I think is not that big of a deal. So I like it, but I usually put this in yellow. I also really like the fact that they use sea salt instead of just, regular table salt. That's going to be a little bit more nutritious and have a better value of minerals for your dogs and for us as well. Not that you should be eating it, but same thing. We have a nice long list of fruits and vegetables, which I really love. My favorite thing to see in here is some mushrooms. Protein content like that, when we do our math, this one's looking at about 28% carbs, which at least is less than the protein content, so I think that's pretty good. A lot of those fruits and vegetables are considered carbs. So next up, the beef recipe. Once again, we see lots of green. We're gonna see the same kinds of yellows. We have a grain, we have a fish oil. They used a sunflower oil here. I do not love that. For the same reason, for like the fish oil, it has a tendency to go rancid, but also sunflower oil is gonna be higher in omega-6s, which is still something that's very vital for dogs and essential for dogs, but it usually causes a little bit more of an inflammatory response than omega-3s. I think that I have to be a little bit lenient here though, because this is not a traditional kibble that is overloaded with omega-6s. And so even though I don't love this as much, it's still better in this recipe than it is in a kibble recipe that's been extruded and has lower quality ingredients. We are sitting at the same protein content. This one does have a higher fat content, which is going to bring our carb content down to 22. I like this number more than the chicken one, but because of that sunflower seed oil, I'm still gonna go for the chicken versus the beef in my opinion. But it's also very important to rotate your proteins. All right, let's check out their turkey. Once again, we got lots of greens and a little bit of those yellows for the same reason. Sea salt ended up being a yellow in this one just because I try to do this really quickly. A little bit of a higher protein, so I like that. Carb is about 22, so I like the turkey recipe a little bit more than the chicken recipe, a little bit more than the beef recipe, but once again, important to rotate. It was really hard to find a price point for this because you apparently buy for a monthly box, and so I was really having a hard time finding how much you're paying per pound of food. It looked like it was about $85 a month to feed a small dog. How much are you feeding that small dog? I wasn't too sure. I would have to go into the whole thing and fill in my information and blah, blah, blah. And I don't love to do that because I do that for so many things. So it does seem to be on the medium price point, but this is a really great food for dogs. I think that it kind of gives the convenience of feeding a lesser processed diet, which is really important, in a way that's more convenient for you, the consumer. So this might be a nice way to kind of like dip your toes into that arena. So I like it. I'm going to give this guy an A+.